In ancient times, there was an ancient god named Thoth. They called him the Atlantean priest king. He ruled over ancient Kemet for 16,000 years, according to the ancient Egyptians. What he taught was amazing. He taught information about alchemy, which is why it was called Kemet. And he also taught about chemistry, which is why they call chemistry from the land of Kemet. Also, he taught about frequency, vibration, cymatics, photons, and even quantum physics. He taught ancient manifestation techniques so long ago, we're talking about tens of thousands of years ago. One of the reasons why you might not be manifesting the life of your dreams is possibly because you haven't tapped into this ancient wisdom. You see, the ancient people of ancient Kemet, long before it was called Egypt, they knew about these techniques. They were taught by Thoth, which is where the word thought comes from. Though comes from Thoth. Now, he's known as many other names throughout the ancient world. Tehuti, Jehuti, Dotamabi. In the Americas, he's known as Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, Viracocha. He's got names depending on where you go. Mercury, Odin. But everything is consistent with these ancient indigenous cultures. They claim that this being, this man, this person, came to them at some point in the past and taught them the basic, fundamental, ancient wisdom principles of how to manifest. They were taught even how to manifest solid matter into reality from conscious thought. In the ancient Emerald Tablet book, Thoth talks about the ability to use cymatic frequencies and photons to manifest solid matter, which was the source, according to the text, of some of the stone construction that existed in the ancient past. I know it sounds weird, but let's fast forward into the 21st century, where scientists got together for the first time 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, and literally used cymatic frequencies and photons in a laboratory setting. And guess what they did? They created solid matter. They created individual particles from sound and frequency vibration. So modern science is just now catching up to ancient wisdom manifestation techniques. This was written over 36,000 years ago. And it's not just from the Emerald Tablets that we find this. We find this in many other ancient cultures and texts and star lore from all around the world. They talk about having the ability to manifest realities based on this ancient wisdom. Thoth understood that the vibration or the frequency that you speak at had power over reality. Matter of fact, if you go study ancient Egyptian, you learn there are 3 languages in ancient times. One is the language of light, which is the highest level of language, only allowed to be spoken by the gods. These were elite level people that had access to the knowledge of the language of light. Why? Because the language of light holds manifestation power. Then you had level 2, which were the politicians. I like to call them the polytricksters. Okay? So they had access to a level 2 level of knowledge, which had a certain level of power to control the masses. And then you had the poor people, the lower level or the lowest level. And that was just basic Egyptian, okay? And the people who spoke the basic Egyptian, they were never allowed to learn the level of the politicians, and definitely never allowed to learn the language of light by the gods. And the politicians could learn, of course, the language below them to deal with the poor people, but they could never learn the language of light. That was reserved for the highest level of the elites. Why? Because of its power to create manifestations. In the Emerald Tablets, Thoth talks about these cymatic frequencies. So I wrote a second book called The Forbidden Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And in that book, I list out these frequencies that you're to utter and call out. He gives the secret to access different portals to be able to actually create manifestations. And so I sound these out so that people can understand exactly what they are. They're not names of people. They are literally cymatic frequencies for the purpose, the sole purpose of manifesting your reality. So let's understand what this ancient wisdom was really all about. They called themselves the ordainers of destiny. They would look at the future inside of a crystal tablet. Sounds like an iPad, right? And in this crystal tablet, they would see potential future outcomes. Now, in today's 21st century quantum physics, they have something called superposition. And in quantum physics, they discovered through scientific experiments like the double slit experiment and also wave-particle duality that everything exists as waves of potential in superposition of one another until an individual reality is collapsed into fruition by conscious thought. So all of a sudden, modern quantum physics and science is now backing up what the ancients were talking about so many tens of thousands of years ago. They said, now we're the ordainers of destiny, and only the elite of elite had access to this wisdom and this knowledge, and also, of course, this tablet. This tablet in some way showed them on the screen potential multiple outcomes. And then the observer would select which potential outcome they felt resonated with them the most, the one that they wanted to execute or manifest. And then after they selected that reality, they would then do everything they needed to do, step by step, action steps, to bring that reality into a collapsed reality in their timeline. We're talking about time traveling with the mind because the mind is outside of space and time. We're talking about accessing the multiverse or the parallel universe where everything that could happen is happening simultaneously. And we're talking about collapsing and fracturing your timeline to create the exact reality that you want so that you shift timelines into that exact specific reality. If that sounds crazy to you, just understand that you are creating fractured time every single day, every time you make a decision. Every time you leave to go somewhere, you're creating fractured timelines. How's that? Let's say that you're setting an appointment with a friend to meet them at a coffee shop, right, in the afternoon. Let's say it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You've made a phone call the day before, and now you and your friend have an appointment to meet at a particular place and time, and that location is at an address that you both know of where there's a coffee shop. Now, your friend is getting ready the next day with enough approximate time to make it there at the appointed time, and you are doing the same thing. But all of a sudden, you get an emergency phone call from your office, and there's a situation where you have to put out some fires. You've got to now take care of some important business, and that's going to put you behind and delay you from meeting your friend at that coffee shop. So what happens? You never show up at the coffee shop. You text your friend, hey, I won't be able to make it. I really deeply apologize. Now, your friend has traveled already to that location. Your friend has left the house, gone through traffic lights, interacted with people along the way, sat down in a chair at this place, seen and witnessed people, got in line even to buy maybe a starter cup of coffee waiting on you. You don't make it there. Now that's a fractured timeline. Now the timeline that you're on is completely shifted. You're on a timeline where you're actually problem solving and working out some situations. You never made it to the coffee shop, which means you never interacted with the dozens or maybe even hundreds of people along the highway and the stoplights and the traffic lights and everything else, right? You never interacted with anyone inside the actual store. You never took a parking spot that was open that somebody else could have parked in. You've created all these fractures in time. And you're on one specific timeline in your reality tunnel, and everything else has been fractured. So all these multiple realities are existing simultaneously, where you do show up, where you do drive to the location. And some you get there safely, and some you don't get there safely, right? And so all of a sudden we see that basic logic tells us that timelines can be fractured just on our daily decision making and actions that we take or don't take. Back to the principle of cause and effect again, in the Hermetic principles. Every action that you take is going to have a consequence, whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence. You will manifest a consequence. And what these ancients did along this ordainer of destiny mindset is they would analyze all the potential consequences from their decisions. We have the same exact ability. We can see a situation that we're dealing with or a decision that needs to be made. We can sit back and meditate on it and pre-think it. We can send our mind into the future to see what the outcome will be based on what action we take right now. We can literally do that. You don't need any special training. You don't need any, mastery classes for that. That's something you're doing on a daily basis. You just didn't realize it. We can sit back and we can actually literally send our mind outside of space and time, and we can say, okay, if I take this action or this energy and do this, what's the potential outcome? And you can let it unfold in your mind. Okay, I don't like that outcome. That's too risky. What if I did this? What if I did this? What if I did this? That gave me a outcome that I can live with. Okay, let me select that potential avenue or that reality tunnel. I'm going to take those action steps and collapse that potential reality. It doesn't mean you're going to be right 100% of the time, but you give yourself a hell of a chance, because now you are pre-thinking potential outcomes and you're working and focusing on collapsing the reality that you want into existence versus just haphazardly walking through time, making decisions and not knowing how things are going to pan out. Just randomly thinking about things and randomly acting on things without ever giving any conscious thought to the potential consequences of those actions and those thoughts. You see? This is where we can learn the mastery of our own mind and consciousness, and how we can send ourselves ahead of ourselves and rendezvous with those decisions and actions on your timeline into the reality that you wanted to be there. Again, this is something that we do all the time. We set up situations that are going to occur in the future. We make plans, right? You make a vacation plan. Well, you pre-plan the vacation because you're thinking of the vacation. You're envisioning where you want to go, what you want to see, what you want to experience, how you want to feel, what activities you want to do. And then you start actually booking those things. You're going through the action steps of booking those things. You are pre-planning. So now you have basically set that vacation and all those particular activities in stone, a time stone. And now what happens? You actually wait to rendezvous with that timeline at a future point in space and time. And when you meet up with that reality, it happens. It all occurs and unfolds exactly as you planned it. So this is a power that we have that we are literally taking for granted. But the ancients knew all about this. They knew all about it, and they were using it every single day, all the time, to manifest the reality, the timeline shifts, the rulership, the kingship, how they would rule over people, the populations, how they would dominate and control parts of the planet, regions of the planet. All that was based on this understanding of this information that we can do, that we have the capability of accessing, but are doing it unaware. And because we're doing it unaware with no awareness to it, we don't even know that we have this power. It's something that we're wielding this power every single day. And we don't even realize that we have this magnificent superpower. We just take it for granted. We think it's normal life. Oh, just everyday life. Really analyze it and really begin to think about it. And you'll be like, wow, this is a superpower. I mean, this is really amazing. The ability to do what we just did, to coordinate and create this situation that actually manifests, and everything that I put on that list that we were going to do as an activity on that vacation, it actually happens. Boom, 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 boom. That's power. Now, how can you take that same exact understanding and apply it to other areas of your life for things you want to manifest? You can do it, right? You literally can do it. It's all about taking the same exact principles that you use to book that vacation or set that appointment with your friend to meet at a coffee shop, and you can begin now to apply that same technique to other areas of life that you want to manifest. It's just that you need to know that the conscious thought multiplied by your action is going to create the manifestation. You can actually now figure out things that you want to do or manifest in your life, and then you can sit back and pre-think them. And you can see future outcomes unfolding within your mind before the future even gets here. You can see different action steps that you can take and decisions that you can make before they even arrive, and you have to make those decisions. And then you can select a particular timeline and the action steps that you now meditated on that you feel are the ones that are going to lead you to the manifestation. And this is what the ancients knew. And they would nudge humanity in one direction or another based on what they wanted in their own personal agendas, leaving us completely oblivious to what they were doing. But now it's been unlocked. We now know that we also have this same exact power, and even more. The words that we speak are mighty and have supreme power over and control over the ether of space-time itself. What are words? What are we speaking? What is language? The universe knows all languages. Why? Because the cymatic frequencies that you speak are piggybacked with conscious intent. So the universe is taking the vibration, but it's also taking the conscious waves that piggyback on that vibration to give it its meaning. And it deciphers that meaning very easily, and it knows exactly what you are trying to put out. And then it reflects a mirror back at you to send back exactly what you're putting out. It can detect the frequency. It only needs to know what frequency you're operating in. That's how it works. The ancients knew this. They knew it so well. They knew how to broadcast the right frequencies to get the right mirror up and reflect back and attract the realities that they wanted to see unfold within their own lifetimes on their reality tunnel and on their agenda, based on their agenda. So, we as human beings, same powers. We have the same exact power, if not even greater. We've been unaware of these superpowers for so long, and there's so many superpowers that we have. I'll begin to unfold those over time. But this is just one that really, if you really sit back and think about it, it's mesmerizing. The fact that we have this ability to create these coordinations and collaborations across space and time, and then rendezvous with those points in space and time where those things actually happen. It's one of the reasons why even though we're not the strongest and not even the smartest animals on Earth, because I believe that killer whales and dolphins are far more smarter than us, but they don't have some of the abilities that we have to extrapolate in the quantum field, and they don't have these. They don't have fingers, so they can't manipulate their environment the same way. They've got to use their mouth. Flippers don't do a great job of manipulating environments. If dolphins and killer whales ever grew hands that can manipulate the environment, we might be in serious trouble. Okay? But right now, we're at the top. We're the apex. Why? Because we have these, and we have a quantum computer on our head, and we haven't even tapped into all of it. We are literally what the Bible called walking angels unaware. We are angels unaware. We are unaware of our divine power. We're unaware of our divine gifts. We're unaware of how we are always manipulating our own timelines and manifesting things into reality just like the ancients. I teach this and so many more ancient wisdom techniques inside the Forbidden Knowledge Academy. Right now we have over 1,100 incredible leaders. I don't call them students. I don't call them members. I call them leaders inside the academy. A place where you can go and come get this ancient wisdom and learn this ancient star lore and all this ancient verbal handed down history. And of course, modern manifestation techniques as well, so that you can begin to create the life that you desire and also help to manifest a reality on this planet, co-collaborating with everyone to make a new paradigm shift and bring in a new heaven on earth. If you want to find out more, click the link in the caption of this video, in the live chat, or in the bio on this account, or wherever you're listening, and join us at the Forbidden Knowledge Academy, a place that's going to put you in a situation where you're surrounded by people on the same vibration and frequency. People that you can talk to about anything that already is on your mind that you cannot talk to about anybody else around your house, your neighborhood, or at work. These people, they want to hear what you have to say. They want to uplift you. They want to support you. They want to be there for you, and they want to share wisdom and knowledge. And I'll be there as well, guiding the way along with my coaching team, mentoring and teaching and doing live shows, live classes, workshops, training sessions, and there's over 100 hours of recorded modules of classes already inside the academy. So make sure you click the link and make sure you join the Forbidden Knowledge Academy right away. I'll see you there.